The main takeaway from this is that if you are not some big time automation expert, this is your chance to participate in the no code automation race, because you can now essentially do the same things that people are doing and make an in now with one sentence prompts. So you're probably wondering, if I'm a developer, if I'm a software engineer, even if I'm just like an ambitious entrepreneur, how can I capitalize on this agentic AI revolution? And this is how you're going to do it right here. GPT just came out with Agent Mode, and it's time to really talk about it. Is it worth the hype? How do people use it? What's the best way to use it? So let's just go ahead and get right into it. What I wanted to do with this is just basically use GPT Agent as a talent scout bot that can basically find people who are hiring on Reddit. Basically, what I was going to have it do was go into the R high level subreddit. That's just basically like if you heard of Go High Level before. It's just a subreddit all about Go High Level, and a lot of people typically post like, oh, I'm hiring like a Go High Level automations expert. So I was like, okay, let's give this a try, see if it can find people who are hiring in there. And the way that I kind of oriented the prompt, which is basically like, look for that the text contains the word hiring. And my original goal was for it to put all of this inside of a Notion database. Like, I would love if I could just like wake up every day and the GPT agent on its own could just hand me people who are hiring on Reddit, and I don't even have to do anything. That was the goal. And I had set up this nice Notion database table, had the date, the title of the post, the URL, description, a draft of a DM. I had it all made. Everything was ready. And so one mistake I made when I first started working with this is that I kind of just let GPT run wild with the prompts, and it put in some constraints. It gave it tools that it was only allowed to use. I think this is what messed it up. So I could really tell in the beginning that it was really having trouble with interacting with APIs, honestly. Like, even though I had connected, one of my sources is Notion, and I even went the extra mile. I did all that, did above and beyond to make sure that GPT had all the access it needed to my Notion. And even still, it was really struggling to connect to my Notion API and just was not able to interact with any of my databases whatsoever. So after they kind of struggled with that for a while, they did finally get to Reddit. And they did an excellent job. I mean, they were able to easily find, I wonder if it's going to see it. Yep. So you can see it searching for the word hiring in Reddit. And I mean, obviously you guys probably know like an innate-in automation could do this. I've even built innate-in workflows, specifically for Reddit scraping that kind of do similar things that can go in and fetch Reddit posts based on subreddits and keywords. So I just wanted to try it out for like a low intensity, low hanging fruit method. And it is good to know that it can handle something like this. And it did end up finding, 2 Reddit posts that have title of hiring, automation developer, posted at this time. Here's the actual URL to it too. You can see here, this is 3 days ago. So this can be something great if you're not familiar with creating your own automations in innate-in or Make. You can easily just use natural language to basically do automations for you and not have to worry about debugging and all those type of things. So I think it's amazing for that format for sure. And this could be a great use case for somebody like a freelancer. You could probably plug this into Upwork or plug this into another subreddit and say, every morning go on these 5 to 10 subreddits and find posts of people who are hiring for certain things, and then automatically give me, a draft reply. And then you kind of load in your knowledge base. So I think that's a great use for GPT Agent. I definitely think this is going to be revolutionary for non-coders. I think this is going to be amazing for the people who, are not like the innovators and early adopters, but like the early majority and late majority when you're talking about this technology adoption lifecycle here. People who don't really understand automations, but just need natural language to do these super efficient tasks. And another way that I think GPT Agent is really going to change things for salespeople, entrepreneurs. I know I've helped founders out by building email automations for them to automatically reach out to investors based on a database. You can see I've ran this automation a ton before in the past. This is essentially just extracting emails from a Notion database, creating that outreach message. You can see here it's just setting the variable for it, sending automated emails, etc. But in that Notion database, all that I had was the company email, the department of the kind of point of contact person, their industry, keywords, etc. But I realized, wait, like if browser agent can go inside of each individual link, do research, and then come back with information on how to hyper personalize outreach messages, that can change things. That can make outreach way more effective and efficient. I literally just plugged in a CSV of a full investor database that I showed you. And I was just like, can you do in-depth research on the first 10 VC firms so I can approach them with a hyper-personalized outreach message? And it came back 6 minutes. So not a ton of time, obviously way less time than what it took me, and came back and gave me credible details, good information on each firm. So I feel like for lead enrichment, this is going to change everything. Like if you're an entrepreneur who's a salesperson and you don't know how to make automations that can do this, you don't know how to build end-to-end automations, this is money for you. This is literally a 1-sentence prompt with a CSV that just gave back all this information. Imagine if I would have changed that number from 10 to 1,000 and I just let it run. So I feel like this is going to change sales forever. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to see how far I could push this GPT agent for sure. Me personally, I want to figure out ways to grow on Twitter. I want to figure out ways to kind of automate content, but still do it in like a human way. So I was like, okay, let me kind of just monitor deals, see what's out there, fetch fresh funding rounds. I wanted to do that. And essentially just kind of be like that always on market scout, that post breaking venture deals. Worked for 8 minutes. So obviously less time than it would take me. It came through with 8 different results. And I think one thing that you're going to have to be smart about is controlling the tone and style. Like this is obviously the most boring shit you've ever seen in your life. So you're gonna have to be very intentional about what is the writing style you want, because they're not just going to be able to generate that. But that was always a thing in GPT and LLMs. And you can see it's just kind of going through. To me, this is super similar to Perplexity. I don't see how Perplexity is any worse than this, except, they obviously show their virtual browser. I think it's interesting that GPT just kind of wanted to join the race in a sense. Like they just did not have an autonomous task executor before, so they kind of needed one. That's the vibe I'm kind of getting. And I feel like this is just going to get much better with time. But this first iteration is like no better than Manus or Perplexity. I went ahead and basically this same VC Pulse bot, I took that over to Manus and see what it could do. And I haven't used Manus in a while, actually. The last time I used Manus was, as you can see, back in May. So they've even upgraded to a point where they're not even more impressive to me as a product. Like, to be honest, I like their interface better. I like how they display their browser better. And I like their kind of takeover ability. You can see here I had to sign in to this piloter that they were trying to get into, and they kind of just like easily gave me a button to take control. And then even afterwards, when I was done, it was literally super helpful because the sign in basically didn't work. It gave me an error message and they were like, hey, let us know what changed, summarize your browser actions to help Manus work smoothly. And so I'm sure I could have just put this inside the prompt in there, and you could probably do the same thing in GPT, but the fact that they actually prompted for this and asked me and were proactive about it was super helpful. I definitely just enjoyed using Manus better. And not to mention, it was way quicker. So you can see I started this. This is basically military time. It started at 5:12 and the job finished, completed the task at 5:14, 2 minutes. For this same thing, that took GPT 8 minutes. So if we're talking about just like time comparison, Manus is, as you can see, 4 times better. And same thing with GPT. Obviously, the writing is just like boring as fuck. But obviously, that's something that can easily change for sure. So I think comparing it to Manus, I do like their UI better. I like their experience better. But I think because people are just like so natively used to ChatGPT, they're going to have the advantage there. People have so much information in there. People already can connect. Like we saw before, you can connect all these different sources. So I feel like ChatGPT has the advantage because people are so ingrained in the software. But that's one thing that I noticed for sure. And I know before I had basically done like a Reddit scrape, quote unquote. I tried to do the same thing with Twitter. Didn't work. Basically, I was going to have like a Twitter strategy of, and I'm not doing this, by the way, after seeing the results, but of kind of having like a polite fact checker for the AI niche that could detect fast rising tweets that were just like misinformation and then correct them. So the goal was to find candidate tweets of misinformation, tweets that are just straight up false, and then cross-check it via web search, make sure it's actually false and not just a false positive, and draft a rebuttal thread. So in my eyes, I'm thinking, okay, bet you can go into Twitter without signing in and explore, find the tweets, etc. But even if we just watch the replay here, I don't even think it went that far. But if you watch the replay here, you can see it just went straight to Chrome to search for misinformation on Twitter. And so this may be because I didn't put in my login information for Twitter, but I did think it was kind of strange that it didn't just go straight to Twitter to find the tweets. So, and it even clicked Instagram too. Like it tried a few times to go to Instagram, but Instagram, of course, will not let you look at posts if you're not signed in. So they struggled there for sure. Let me see if I can jump to it. Yeah, so you can see they tried to go on Instagram. That didn't work. Attempting to open it again. So that was interesting to me. They did end up coming with just like a rebuttal to something about essentially this claim that Columbia University built artificial trees better than real ones. And this just must be something they found on Google from searching, and they just kind of like wrote a rebuttal for it. I do think that somebody who was like willing to just be more patient with GPT Agent and plug in their login information for Twitter, if you had access to the developer API, if you are willing to go ahead and sign in and give them the login credentials, you could probably make this work. And I'm definitely gonna be working behind the scenes to try and do that. But for this video, I wasn't able to get that finished step the way that I wanted it to. I also tried just like a mini newsletter type of thing. I think it'll be great for that, where it's just like, hey, find top 30 articles and then kind of just like cluster by topic and deliver a newsletter. I'm assuming you could do that in Perplexity too. Like, these aren't features that are extremely novel to this platform, but I just want to see how it could work. The main takeaway from this is that if you are not some big time automation expert, this is your chance to participate in the no code automation race, because you can now essentially do the same things that people are doing and make an in now with one sentence prompts. As you guys have probably heard about how Meta has been poaching employees, giving crazy pay packages to OpenAI's employees. I do think that Meta's and Zuckerberg's attempt to kind of dismantle OpenAI, you're starting to kind of see the cracks. And the reception of it, hasn't really been amazing, because like I said before, there were tools already. There was Manus already. And people were even like kind of saying this during the demo too. How I was saying before about the cracks that are starting to appear because of Meta poaching the talent. People on Twitter are basically saying the live demo has been a dud. It's taking 10 minutes to book some flights and find clothes. They're not really impressed with the use cases. I do think GPT and OpenAI should start being more novel about the use cases, being more extreme. What are the crazy sophisticated things you can do? Not just booking flights. Software engineers, people that are like those early adopters, are getting more critical about model updates, about AI tool updates. And if it's not revolutionary, if it could have been done before, they're going to speak up. How many times have we seen the agent that books flights and buys clothes? Like, we've seen that before. So I think it's interesting that the reception has not been like mass hysteria. For sure, even amongst the YouTubers who have to position themselves, it's like clickbaity titles of like, this is revolutionary, my mind is blown. Even people like this are kind of showing how they're even seeing the cracks in OpenAI.
The demo was far from perfect. For example, they sort of rushed through the segment where Agent produced a travel path to visit all these different baseball games.
So again, like as we have shown throughout the live stream, it uses a multitude of tools, uses the terminal, using the browser, working through all the details. It'll probably use, again, back to the browser, figuring out Hello Kitty nights, and then sports stadium and whatnot. Oh, let's see, there you go. Building a map, using code to actually build it out. And then overall, we get like a pretty solid result, I think.
And I noticed right at the end of the presentation, one leg of the trip has you visiting the ocean. And I'm not aware of any baseball stadiums over the ocean, but correct me if I'm wrong.
You see what I mean? So I feel like obviously this isn't like the hugest deal ever, but I do feel like if the top of the top talent was still there, maybe some of those mistakes could have been avoided. And obviously the people working at OpenAI right now are very intelligent, super smart, super talented, not at all shitting on them. They're probably light years ahead of me in terms of their knowledge of AI research. But I do think when a company is stealing, 12% of your top employees, that's going to make a difference. And I feel like some of that difference is starting to show. But without further ado, let's honestly get into like how people are using this for great ways. Like, this is still a neat tool. This is still a browser agent that's implemented into an LLM you are probably already using a bunch. So there's definitely going to be great use cases because you already have so much data in the platform. For example, somebody on Reddit had a really good idea basically about opening a browser, opening social media accounts. So now if you can have your GPT agent look through your social media, analyze it, do different actions, etc., I think that's where we're going to see the really creative use cases for agent mode for sure, especially with people talking about, creating and running ads. Maybe that doesn't come right now, but I can easily see an update in 6 months where you can do things like this for sure. So I do think it'll be super, super interesting if you're a social media manager and you have to do a monthly analytic report, if you can just tell agent mode, hey, can you go for the last 3 months, check the analytics on every single post, put together a spreadsheet, put together a game plan for the next 3 months, and then maybe you even do that with other people's profiles. I think there's really an opportunity for people that work in content and social to eat up off this update for sure. And honestly, another great example is LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, these are great sales platforms, obviously, but a lot of the work sometimes can be manually finding people that fit in your niche. And with Agent Mode, now that can all kind of change. And so what he did that was really kind of cool to me was he was looking to find startup founders with over 5,000 followers that have engaged in trending posts and then send them connection requests. Now you can really go through LinkedIn automatically with a fine-tooth comb. You can kind of create your own digital employee that can do these specified tasks that you couldn't do before. I do think there's a world where, the next few LinkedIn requests you get might be from somebody using that browser agent to reach out to you and then also send a message based on your profile that's hyper-personalized. So another great way to be able to use Agent Mode for LinkedIn networking, finding different people in your ICP, and then sending them requests. But yeah, you're probably wondering why did OpenAI, really want to put this out? And so what it is, like I showed you before with the early majority and late majority with the technology adoption lifecycle, they're trying to get those people used to using and seeing and working with Agentic AI and MCP servers. And so you can even see, when I connect, even without Agent Mode, when I'm just connecting Canva as a connector to my GPT, that's basically using an MCP server. So, and you can even see Sam Altman, talking about Agent Mode, says that this represents a brand new paradigm that society needs to learn to interact with safely, because the positioning suggests that OpenAI views Agentic AI as a fundamental shift rather than an incremental improvement. And we're going to talk a little bit more too about Agentic AI is the future of the world. It's where every company is going. It's why Google invested so much in vibe coding. Everybody wants to kind of dominate and take over this Agentic AI movement. And I think it's funny how OpenAI thinks it's a fundamental shift, but the world that's using their actual Agent Mode thinks it's kind of incremental. So that's a little hilarious. And another huge reason for why OpenAI really wanted to come out with Agent Mode is something that's actually behind the scenes right now. And there is intense competition in the enterprise AI agent space because major tech companies are all also understanding hey, we need to jump on this too because we have enterprise clients and we want to provide them the most value possible. And so they're also developing AI tools, Adobe, Google, Salesforce, etc. I mean, a simple enterprise agentic AI Google search will show you'll see some of the other companies that are really trying to get on this. Like Adobe, they're already kind of coming out with their own agentic AI's tools to elevate personalized experiences, etc., unlock your organization's growth potential. So you can see they're really trying to service their enterprise clients with different AI agent tools. But obviously with Adobe having all their creator tools already in place, they can create a content production agent that can streamline content creation, etc. So now just thinking about other tech companies that have their own proprietary advantage. We can't forget about Salesforce, which already has, crazy capability. So now they're coming out with their own little AI agent, Agentforce. So OpenAI knew that they had to respond to the enterprise AI agent race that's going on. And this was their attempt to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to compete because other companies might withhold information so they can keep an advantage. Adobe may not let them access After Effects, Premiere, Photoshop to do different actions. Agentic AI on its own, like I said, this is going to be the major shifter. The best way to showcase why Agentic AI will be the next world shifter is to talk about what it's already doing for the Air Force and the Pentagon. One thing that they're really showing is that these transformational models are accelerating decision making. And so that's obviously really super important when, you're dealing with actual wars and every second matters. So you can even see here, the digital aids doubled the number of operational dilemmas that humans were able to address. So we're able to actually solve more problems and generated 3 times as many valid solutions to those problems ranging from striking an enemy target to refueling friendly planes. When it comes to the military, the Army, the Navy, the National Guard, the Air Force, there's always decisions of should we do this or should we do that? And there's actual lives on the line. And now you have this intelligent AI that can actually help you make those decisions. For enterprises, this is gonna change productivity at every level. And everybody's talking about it. Like the World Economic Forum, as you can see, is literally already saying for cognitive enterprises, that just means like smart enterprises that use AI and data. Why agentic AI platforms are the next great business revolution. This was literally a month ago. So this agentic AI race is not slowing down. People, the world, they understand that this is going to change business, military, pretty much every part of your life, because you now have what I'm going to break down in this next section. So you're probably wondering, if I'm a developer, if I'm a software engineer, even if I'm just like an ambitious entrepreneur, how can I capitalize on this agentic AI revolution? And this is how you're going to do it right here. Essentially, it's never been easier to build digital employees. So literally, if your agent can handle a full-time job like sales outreach or scheduling or compliance review, you can price it similar to hiring like a SDR, like a sales development rep. You have the beauty of just having to build it and then it kind of goes off on its own and works. So you don't have to charge a company the same thing that they would have to pay for a sales development rep. That role alone, even if you just like search sales development representative jobs on Indeed, even if you just do the math here of like $20 to $50 an hour, let's say it's like $40 an hour. $40 an hour times 40 hours for the week. 1,600 times 4 is 6,400. That's just 1 month of what it will cost for a sales development representative. So if you're able to build an AI agent that can prospect, contact, and qualify business decision makers and build reports in Salesforce, you literally have an agent that's worth at minimum to this company $6,400 a month. So just think about what you could start to charge. If you're telling them, hey, I'll only charge you $2,500 total, they're looking at you like, let's do that right now. So there's massive opportunity if you're able to build these different AI agents that can fulfill the roles of HR, sales, finance, etc. So that's one opportunity for entrepreneurs, software engineers, etc. Build your own AI agents that can do these same tasks. The technology is clearly out there. You can vibe code it, you can build it in Maker N8N. Obviously now you have GPT's browser agent. So there's different things and different ways where you can kind of use your knowledge gap of browser agents to really make money and help out businesses. And so one niche and one business that you can kind of sell to super quickly is digital marketing agencies. Digital marketing agencies are one industry where AI agents can just do so dramatically transformative work, and you don't need a ton of time to learn how to do that. You don't need to put in more than 100 hours to really become a master at building agents for digital marketing. And so you can even see here, this website talks about how AI agents can easily, if I could add, automate tasks like email campaigns, social management, ad optimization, etc. You can run personalized marketing strategies. You can, especially if you're in affiliate marketing, you can analyze marketing trends, identify high-performing products. And if we're talking about products, obviously, e-commerce, that's another huge industry that could benefit from this, where you can do customer service, product recommendations, order fulfillment. So there is a huge demand in those two niches for sure. If you're looking just like, where can I get started of selling AI agents to? I would definitely look in those two. And if you're also curious of, does this stuff really sell? Do they really want this type of stuff? Do digital marketing agencies, really even want AI and automation? So I have a product called The Vault, where essentially it's like pretty much all of my proprietary and internal data as an AI agency owner. And I actually offer this to people who want to kind of see the same things that I have in terms of my VC and angel investor database, where I've actually reached out and gotten replies from VCs who have invested in founders that I've worked with. I have competitor intelligence that shows top AI agencies in the world. But The biggest thing is these Upwork jobs that I constantly look at just for reference of like, what are people actually asking for? So one thing that I had said before, of course, is digital marketing agencies. So if I just come in here and I literally just search digital marketing, I can come in here and see what digital marketing agencies are really looking for in terms of AI. Because every job essentially in this Upwork database was found by scraping for the AI keyword. So now I can come in here and basically just see every single job posted around AI and automation, and then use that to see, okay, who needs agentic AI service? If I just click one of the job URLs here, I can go in here and see that this company, I can come in here and see that was just off searching digital marketing. I can literally see that they're looking for a skilled freelance developer to create a sophisticated program to do what? Streamline social media activities. So they're literally looking for somebody just to help them create more social pages in an automated way. So even though they're saying, yes, we need somebody who with demonstrated experience in Python, JavaScript, the reason they're asking for that is just because in their minds, they want somebody who can create an interface so that them as non-coders can use it. But obviously you can use tools like Lovable, you can use tools like Bolt to create a front-end interface that they can use easily. And the money's there. The money is there. And of course, if you just want to learn more and join a community of other people who are really getting into agentic AI, definitely want to go ahead, join my subreddit, Learn AI Agents. There's 28 or 2,900 people in here now. It's continuously growing. People just coming here, talk about how they want to learn AI. We give guidance, we give help. So definitely join that. Got the link to that in my description. There's also going to be a Discord group and a community that's part this and also part of the vault. So everybody who is an agency owner that's working with the vault will also be in Discord, sharing advice, giving tips, etc. So the world is at a very fun place right now where agentic AI is taking over, and those that will be the first to master that skill of building agents and understanding the best use cases, the most profitable use cases for agents is going to win.